had one microphone. We set up and recorded a song, sent it into our record label. They said, "What are you called?" They put Shakin' All Over on a white label. Underneath it, they put Guess Who. And so Burton came down. He walked into CJY and I said, "Burton, I'd like you to join the Guess Who as the lead singer." And he said, "Sorry, you're too late. The Beatles called me last night," and he walked out of the room. You can see my life as a series of accidents that I've learned to sit back and see where they go. And I say, "So how do you get to Grand Central Station?" He said, "I take the 815 into the city." I played that for Burton Cummings, who said, "Gag me with a drumstick." What a great title for a song. But I got to remember that taking care of business, taking care of business, taking care of business. Put on your seatbelts.
There are few musicians who have penned as many rock tunes as Randy Bachman, often referred to as the architect of Canadian rock and roll, and Bachman's catalog of hits includes American Woman and These Eyes, No Time, You Ain't Seen Nothing Yet, Taking Care of Business, and Roll On Down the Highway. And now Randy Bachman joins us right here on the Rich Stevens Show. Is this Randy Bachman from Bachman Turner Overdrive, or do I have it the other way?
No, you have it correct. It's Randy Bachman from Bachman Turner Overdrive.
How are you, my friend?
I'm good. Nice to talk to you. And nobody needs to buy the DVD. You just played the whole thing right there. That was a wonderful montage you played there.
I think it's so cool that, and by the way, I don't know if you remember, you were on with us, I think, about a year ago.
Yeah.
So I hope everything's going well for you. This is really incredible that you have this new 14-track CD DVD set out, and it's called Every Song Tells a Story. Are these the stories behind the music?
Yes, I took every one of those songs that you mentioned, Let It Ride, Rolling Down the Highway, She's Come Undone, These Eyes for the Guess Who, and Bachman Turner Overdrive, and it's a storytelling evening on how I wrote the songs, where I wrote the songs. There's a visual going on behind me that I was lucky enough that my crew went and dug out old family high-8. Remember those 8mm cameras that your dad used to have and those things? And transferred all those and put all the old early videos of the Guess Who and BTO on there. So when I'm telling the stories, it kind of shows... you know, the haircuts, the clothing, the cars, the guitars, the styles of the era of the 60s and 70s. And it's just a trip through time, through my life timeline in music, right from the Guess Who, Shakin' All Over, right up to current. That's
pretty incredible. Now, this is a live set, right?
Yes, it's a live show. We did about 35, 40 days in a row a year ago. And it got smoother and smoother because there's no script. I just kind of tell the stories and we play the songs. My manager said, you know, we're coming up to Winnipeg, which is our hometown. And we're playing the Pantages Theater, which is an old restored theater there that most cities have. One or two they've managed to keep through all the teardowns, and it's all restored. You got to go and play there. And so we got to record it live. So we did 2 or 3 days there and recorded that, and became this DVD of me telling these stories. And it was a nice comfort zone to be in my hometown there with all my relatives and fans and my DJs who I kind of grew up with and who played all the music and made it accessible to the people. So it was a really great night.
Yeah, that's got to make it even more incredible being in your hometown and having family and friends there. So were you playing to the audience or were you playing to the camera because you knew that this was being recorded?
No, I just played to the, like most concerts, I play to maybe the first 6 rows. Because beyond that, you kind of lose concentration. And actually, when I tell the stories, you'll see me looking left and right. I look for somebody on the left that's really into the stories. I look for somebody on the right, and I go and I tell them, I do the show for these 2 or 3 people. Because they're into it, and they're smiling and laughing in the appropriate spots. I don't look at the guy who's sticking out his tongue or trying to make noises, or he's kind of like a non-loud heckler. There's people that try to throw you off. So, like a comedian, I look for somebody who's laughing at my jokes. And I look for somebody who's into the stories, and I kind of play to them.
So what this really means is, so when the girl that just left the BTO concert, and she said, "Oh my God, Randy Bachman was looking right at me," you really were.
That is correct. That's right.
That's pretty cool. Are you out touring again right now?
I am. I'm in New York now doing a bit of this press. I go right back to Toronto. And I'm doing some gigs with symphonies there, and I'm doing this Every Song Tells a Story tour all around Toronto and Ottawa. And now I'm getting requests to bring it to the States because of the reception it's getting and the reviews. And if it starts selling, I will bring this down to, you know, theaters that hold 900, 1,200 people. Can't be much bigger than that. It has to be kind of an intimate setting because I'm really just sitting on a stool talking and telling stories. And at the end, we stand up and rock out to TCB, of course, but it's pretty much a theater kind of thing. So I'm looking forward to doing that.
We're talking to Randy Bachman from Bachman Turner Overdrive here on the Rich Stevens Show. Does it still do it for you, Randy?
Of course, or I wouldn't be here. Every time I play some of these songs, and just to see the reaction now of maybe 3 generations, I see a teenager and his dad maybe in the 40s and his dad maybe in the 60s, and they're all singing the songs. They all know the songs. It's quite an amazing feeling, and I know that's shared by Neil Young and other guys that I know, guys in the Eagles and Journey and Paul Rogers and all these guys from the 70s are still around. You look in the audience, you see 3 generations, usually of guys who are like they love rock and roll, classic rock with guitars. Everybody plays guitar.
Now listen, what about South Florida? Are you going to include South Florida? Because you promised me the next time you're down in this area, you were going to come in the studio and do a little jam for me.
Okay, I'm putting a check right here beside your name, Rich Stevens. You're in Miami, right?
Yes.
Yeah, my brother has a condo in Fort Lauderdale. That's not too far, and he's there every like from Winnipeg. He's there every November, December, and January, so I might visit him. I'll come in and see you. That
would be fabulous. And listen, speaking of the theater that you were just talking about, I have the perfect location if you want to do the actual show. Besides coming into the studio, we can tell you a great place to do it. If you want to bring the tour here, I'm sure you'll have no problem selling those tickets.
What's the theater called?
It's called the Coral Springs Performing Arts Center.
Great. I'm writing it down.
So there you go. Now, let me ask you a personal question. Did Office Depot's deal with taking care of business go away?
Every once in a while, they put it on hiatus. It's in reserve. They don't pay the full amount of cashola for it, but they put it away because for a while they had Dilbert. Remember, they had little Dilbert cartoons? And
yeah.
They said, do I have my song back? And they said, no, we want it reserved. We don't want anyone else to use it. I think it's in reserve now, but I think I'm getting it back. And we just did a deal with Mark Burnett for a new reality cooking show called On the Menu or Off the Menu. I'm not sure what it is. And that's starting in October. So it's going to have a new life as the theme on ABC television on a Mark Burnett reality show.
And that's going to be taking care of business, too?
It is.
Wow. How long did it take you to write that song?
I wrote it in an instant, but it took 5 years. And I tell the story in the DVD that it started in 1967 called White Collar Worker with the same verse lyrics. But my hook in the middle, I was copying Paperback Writer. My hook in the middle, when I said, like to work at nothing all day, then it went to this thing that went, white collar worker, just like Paperback Writer. And nobody in the band, in the Guess Who, Burton Cummings, didn't want to do that. The guys in BTO didn't want to do that until one night, Fred Turner lost his voice. I had to sing the last set of a rock and roll set in a club on Saturday night. I didn't have any songs to sing, and I thought, gee, I'm going to take White Collar Worker. On the way to the gig that night, I heard a DJ on the air saying, this is Daryl B. on C-Fun Radio, and we're taking care of business. And I thought, that's a great song title. So on stage that night, I thought, I'm going to do White Collar Worker. I'm going to leave out the White Collar Worker Paperback Writer thing and just slide in Taking Care of Business and see how it fits. I had no idea if it would fit. I was on stage. The people were dancing. I had to keep them dancing. I turned around at the end of the song, Oye Como Va, the Santana song I was playing to get everyone up dancing. And it goes, dun, da, 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 hey! And as it ended, hey, I turned around and said to the band, follow me, it's 3 chords, C, B, flat, and F, and sing with me in the hook. I started the song. I played White Collar Worker. It was then changed to Taking Care of Business. It was written on stage, but it took, like I said, 5 years of when it started to when I completed it. And then we recorded 2 weeks later, and that's the song you hear on the record.
That's incredible. That's really amazing. We're talking to Randy Bachman. What's your favorite song that you do today?
It has to be Taking Care of Business. That story goes on and on. I could tell you more if you had more time. That the whole song and the story is, and the record is quite an amazing thing. I love telling it. Speaking
of stories, what story behind the scenes do you think would surprise most people that they don't know?
Probably American Woman, because they think it's about the woman on the street, and somebody had a girlfriend in the States who did him wrong, like me or Burton Cummings, and it's not that at all. It was written in the late 60s. We crossed the border from Canada into the States. We had green cards, and they tried to draft us, so we turned around and avoided the draft board, came back to Canada. We were playing a gig in Canada to get back to Winnipeg and playing around Toronto, and I broke a string. I didn't have a tech or a spare guitar, no tech or a tuner. So Burton Cummings said, Randy broke a guitar string, we're going to take a break. So the whole band left the stage. I stayed on the stage, put a new low E string on my 59 Les Paul Gibson, knelt at Burton Cummings' piano to tune up to his piano because they didn't even have a tuner. And when I was kneeling there and tuning up my strings, I started to play dun dun da 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 dun da dun da dun dun dun. And the whole audience, who were all talking at the time, their heads snapped around and looked at the stage. And I went, "Oh my God, I can't! I have to keep playing this lick. I don't want to forget it." So with my head motion, I got the drummer on stage, the bass player. Burton came on stage about 3 or 4 minutes later into the song, and he said, "What is this?" And I said, "I'm making it up. Sing something." And the first thing he sang was "American Woman, Stay Away From Me," and he sang that line 4 times. The next night we did it again. He embellished on it and added in war machines and ghetto scenes. And basically it was the Statue of Liberty and the Uncle Sam Wants You poster that we were, as Canadians who had almost been drafted, were like singing and writing about. So a lot of people are surprised at that story. And then it came out and went to #1 in Cashbox, Record World, and Billboard, #1 album and single. And then radio realized it was a kind of an anti-war song sung by 4 Canadians, because at the time radio could not play any anti-war songs. They could only play Fighting Men of the Green Beret by Sergeant Barry Sandler, and they couldn't play Fixin' to Die Rag by Country Joe.
Wow. That's a real behind-the-scenes story. Did things like that happen to you often, where you just, when you were playing and you knew, did you know that this was going to be a major smash that you had on your hands right away, or did it take,
No. It takes the magic of a DJ playing it at the right time and people phoning in for it and then buying the record. There's so many things that contribute to a hit record. I mean, I'm celebrating about 12 or 15 songs on this DVD and how I wrote them and why they were hits. And I'm not celebrating about 500 songs that I wrote that I think were pretty good that weren't hits. It's just, you don't know what makes a hit, or I'd have one every single year of my life.
Right.
If I knew that, and I'd be selling it to everybody else as well. It's just a magical thing that happens. And some of the greatest songs I've written are kind of contrived and nobody gets it. The ones that were written on stage are written by accident, like Taking Care of Business or You Ain't Seen Nothing Yet or American Woman, that are written in a matter of 10 or 15 seconds, and then, or a door opens, and then they come to me for the next couple of minutes, and suddenly it becomes my song. Those are the ones that endure, and those are the ones people like.
Is this still happening for you, this magic?
Yeah, it is. It just happened last month. I did a new album that's coming out next spring. I did a blues album with a new band and a new producer and new songs, and it still happens, and it still mystifies me, and I'm still glad it still happens.
So it never gets old?
Almost like the Long Island Medium. If you see that TV show, The Blonde Lady,
yeah,
she doesn't know what happens. Something happens. She tells everybody that. It's kind of like that with most songwriters I know. You have a moment of transcendental songigation, whatever it's called, where some angel or some force sends you a whole song, and you write it down, mystified. Where is this coming from? You write it down, and you play it for someone, and they say, wow, did you make that up? And you go, I think so. Do you know what I mean? You're not quite sure where it came from. And if nobody challenges you, then you claim it and say, yeah, I wrote this. Isn't it great? And if you get called by a lawyer, you say, yeah, you win. Somebody else wrote it. You don't know where they come from.
That's incredible. So it never gets old for you?
No, it's always exciting.
Listen, if you have some free time, feel free to do a Rich Stevens show little song there. We could use a song.
I will do that.
I would be really blown away by that, Randy.
Okay.
So the new CD, DVD set is called Every Song Tells a Story. It's in stores now, correct?
Yeah, it's out now. You can get it at Amazon or randybachman.com. And my other station is waving. I've got to say goodbye, Rich, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Randy, so much, and look forward to talking to you soon. Let's stay in touch, okay?
Okay, bye-bye.
All right, have a good one. Thank you.
Thanks.
That's Randy Bachman from Bachman Turner Overdrive. Or did I get it backwards? Randy Bachman from Bachman Turner Overdrive.
Yeah, the second one.
Yeah. But the last time we talked to him, he said that either way you say it is fine. It had to do with DJs in America pronouncing it differently, and that's why either one is fine. But we're talking about an incredible legend. I mean, 35-plus years in rock and roll, and obviously still going strong. Going strong, not growing strong. Well, I guess growing too. Randy Bachman. He was part of the Guess Who and Bachman Turner Overdrive, two groups with combined record sales of over 40 million. And he's the guy that wrote the songs Taking Care of Business and Let It Ride, American Woman, Roll On Down the Highway, You Ain't Seen Nothing Yet. And I'm grateful that he took a few minutes to talk to us here on The Rich Stevens Show